E noi ci passiamo. Pronto. Allora, thank you very much and welcome to this first country presentation. The first country presentation is dedicated to the partner country, Albania. Let me introduce to you Mary Kumber, Deputy Minister of the Ministry of Culture of the Republic of Albania, Klestia Ciritsi, Architect and Advisor of the Minister and in charge for the program EU for Culture, and Doris Alimerco, Architect and Advisor of the Minister. I am here now with Roberto Lobato, Director of the Direction of Industrial Partnership of the Italian Trade Agency, and Alessandro Bozzetto, the president of the association which I'm representing, Restauro. Just a few words introducing our partnership with Albania, and then we start with the country presentation. Roberto.
Thank you. It is my great pleasure to welcome all the participants on behalf of Italian Trade Agency to this seminar dedicated to the opportunities for productive and commercial collaboration between Italy and Albania in the field of historical and cultural heritage restoration. Our two countries have a consolidated history of collaboration, cultural exchange, and migratory currents. The numerous settlements in the southern region of Italy, where the Albanian language is still spoken today, bear the witness to this. Relation between the two peoples, we can say, date back to the time of founding of ancient Rome, and were facilitated obviously by the geographical proximity and historical events that on various occasions over the centuries have consolidated the relation between the two shores of Adriatic Sea. Today, we have the opportunity to renew this tradition of collaboration in the field of restoration of architectural, historical, and cultural heritage, not only as regards the recovery of historical and archaeological sites, but also in the reconstruction intervention following the natural disaster, in particular earthquakes, that is a phenomena that unfortunately unite the Italian and the Albanian territories. The representatives of Albanian authorities, institutions who will speak at this seminar will talk about these two aspects, and I think they will provide us and Italian companies which concrete proposal for operational collaboration with mutual benefits. I would therefore like to thank the speaker for their presence, for the contribution they will bring, and all the company presence, even online remotely, for the interest that they have shown in our proposal, and the institutions that have collaborated in the realization of this initiative. The trade fairs on Ferrara and Bari, obviously, which organize and host the restoration exhibition, and the business association Restauro, together with which we created the Restoration Week brand, we can say, which confirmed itself also this year as the reference event at the international level. I thank everyone again for their presence. I wish you a pleasant and fruitful visit to the Salone del Restauro. Thank you.
Welcome to everybody. Mi esprimo in italiano anche per l'uditorio italiano che è qui presente. Asso Restauro, grazie appunto al supporto dell'ICE, continua a costruire questi momenti di dialogo, in particolare con l'Albania, e ringrazio il Vice Ministro della presenza. Continuiamo a camminare insieme per creare dei momenti di confronto e di dialogo che possano continuare a unire le nostre culture e sperimentare nuovi modi di interpretare il restauro. Quindi lascio la parola al loro intervento augurando un buon lavoro.
Okay, thank you very much. We are going to see the opportunities that Albania has in the field of restoration of cultural heritage and the possible cooperation that we can establish. Just a few words of why we have decided to invite the guest country, Albania, and the other partner countries, is because we will make also some private meeting to discuss among us future possible cooperation, and with the idea of bring our expertise, materials, companies to work together with our Albanian friends and colleagues to improve the capacity of Albania to save their own cultural heritage and improve the cultural tourism offer. That's in general the reason why we are here all together. Follow our country presentation on the Salone del Restauro website, of course, on the website www.restorationweek.it and on our socials. Thank you very much, and I leave the stage to the Deputy Minister.
Dear ladies and gentlemen, thank you for being with us. The invitation to participate in this great salon of the best restoration experiences was for us certainly both a pleasure and the responsibility to show the best of our country. Albania is a land of eternal beauty, where coexistence with cultural heritage is an indisputable and natural fact. So maybe I will proceed and soon we'll have the right presentation. Let me mention a few simple figures. Albania is a country of 28,000 kilometers square with about 2,300 cultural monuments, castles, churches, mosques, archaeological ruins, traditional dwellings. A rare overlap of cultures, mix of legends and historical facts, where it is said that Aeneas settled after fleeing the flames of Troy, where Caesar met Pompey, where a woman named Rosafa was walled up to build a castle. Ever since Ugolini and Leon Rey discovered some of the most famous ancient ruins, such as Butrint or Apollonia, cultural heritage began to be considered an asset in Albania, opening the doors to important excavation expeditions, which still continue to this day, surprising us with the results that shed light on this land where Albanians live today. In recent years, referring to the best experiences of countries like Italy with an extraordinary cultural wealth, our approach to cultural heritage has changed and improved. Never before has more been invested in this field, strongly believing that this investment would reward us. During these 8 years, programs dedicated to roads of faith or roads of remembrance have been set up for the conservation of cult buildings, monuments, restoration of museums, conservation of historical centers in different cities. A non-purely aesthetic operation which has brought to light buildings and monuments buried by oblivion and lack of investment. We have excellent cases in Korça, Gjirokastër, Vlora, Tirana, and we are aiming to extend this vision to other cities in the country. In 2019, we reached the highest number of visitors to archaeological sites and museums, but just when we were launching other projects, Albania was hit by two earthquakes on September 21 and then November 26. It had tragic consequences in people's lives. 50 people lost their lives, while 100 more were injured. Not to mention the damages related to home, business, infrastructure, cultural monuments, which was estimated at about 1 milliard euros. The situation required us to intervene quickly and efficiently, but this could not be done without our international partners, whom I take the opportunity to thank, in particular the Italians, who were with us since the first hours after the earthquake through experts, lending us the best experience gained from similar events. As Galileo said, behind every problem, there is a solution. The Albanian government immediately prepared a fund for the design of emergency projects. Following the donors conference in Brussels, the European Union allocated 40 million euros for the restoration of the cultural monuments. An unprecedented figure dedicated solely to cultural heritage through EU for Culture program. Other donors, such as the United States, which for the first time grants to a single state the entire Ambassador Legacy Fund, and the Prince Claus Fund and the Swedish Embassy are helping us rebuild. Among over 50 monuments damaged by the earthquake, which were located in central Albania, Durrës, Krujë, Kavaja, Fushkruj, Tiran, but also Rubik, 35 priority sites, monuments and museums for rehabilitation, restoration, and revitalization were selected. The solution that Galileo mentioned about is not simply the conservation of the monument, but above all their revitalization as an economic resource for local communities. Not just the restoration of walls, but the restoration of people's lives. We turned the disaster into an opportunity to rebuild our future and that of our children, the Albania of 2030, to increase their future, where they will project their dreams on the land of their ancient. For us, this is the economy of beauty. Work has already begun, and September starts with new reconstruction cities. I do not even exaggerate when I say that Albania has become a laboratory restoration site, because in parallel, we are ongoing with other revitalization programs focused in technology, mostly digitalization. One of them is the huge project of the revitalization of archaeological park of Bulis, also supported by the European Union, as well as by the Italian Agency for Development and Cooperation, which aim to restore and conserve Bulis, but also to connect it with all the nodes of the tourist and economic development of the area. To continue with the art park in the area of the former Kino Studio, a kind of Albanian Cinecittà, which will be returned to the artists of the community. National Library Fund and many other projects, including EU for Culture program, which aim to revitalize cultural heritage, as well as the National Gallery of Art, which doubles its capacity, former Pyramid, which will become the largest innovation center in the Balkan. We need the best experiences in this field, and here I mean precisely our Italian neighbors, with whom we have many historical, if not spiritual, intersections. Old and new stories in times of war, in times of peace, and in times of mutual needs. Participating in this salon is a continuation of this journey. In the communications I had with my counterpart, the Italian Minister of Culture, Dario Franceschini, he promised that we would have the Italian support to advance our ambitious projects, such as the Center for Training of Cultural Heritage Specialists, which will open new doors in the field of art, a project aimed at the younger generation. The Cultural Heritage Revitalization Bonus is another program that will support business, local communities to make better use of these extraordinary cultural and touristic treasures. An investment for the future, for the younger generation who need to see themselves as part of the country's development mechanism and use their creative ideas on this purpose, while the Cultural Heritage Fund will manage investment efficiently and on a priority basis. We see Italy as the best model where we can rely to achieve our goals. We are very glad and satisfied that Italy finds in Albania a cooperation partner and other joint projects await us ahead. We invite you to visit the Albanian pavilion with the hope that you will find there a piece of Albania, full of desire to live, with a view to the future, and with deep roots in the century's European origin. Thank you.
Hello, I'm Doris Alimerco. I'll be presenting the case of Girocastra, interventions made on UNESCO side. I will present some projects. Sorry. I'll present some projects that are already implemented or in the process of implementing, while my colleague after will present some future projects. So Girocastra is a city in the southern Albania, also known as the City of Stone. The city was included in the UNESCO World Heritage list in 2005 as one of the few surviving examples of the Ottoman style of a trade city in the Balkans. The old bazaar is in the center of the old town and it dates back to the 17th century. Oh, okay. In fact, there is not much left from that period because of a fire that impacted the old bazaar in the third quarter of the 19th century. And after that, the bazaar was totally rebuilt. That is why the buildings have the same architectures, 2 and 3 story buildings, but they're very identical in their structure. And the first floor is the place where the artisans worked, while the second floor was used mainly for the residence for artisans. Now there are still some artisans working in the old ways, and people are trying to pass their craft work to the new generation. There were many interventions that were made in the city after the Second World War and after the city was declared a city museum in 1961. Here you can see the map of the city, while the area with pink is where the bazaar is located, and this project is presented. So the restoration of Girocastra Bazaar, there are 4 methods of intervention: the preservation, restoration, reinforcement, and integration. Main problems that were identified in the bazaar were mainly humidity and mold, and problems in the floors and the roofs, damage from intervention over the years. 70% of the premises were abandoned, and 20% of the roofs were destroyed completely, which were a danger to the city. So this project aimed to reevaluate areas that were completely degraded and to create urban poles and reassess areas that had the potential to be transformed in recreational areas. Some interventions included the restoration of stone walls, the cleaning of vegetation from the walls, the missing elements and profiles replacement, or remodeling of the facade windows and their restoration. also reinforcing the intervention in the supporting structure of the balconies or structural reinforcement of masonry and the roof to replace the damaged beams and add the waterproofing layer. So then was made the cobblestone restoration, where the collection of the entire engineering network was made under the sidewalks and to supply each unit. All damaged cobblestones were replaced, and the motifs made with white stones present in some of the alleys were fixed. Here we have some before and after photos of the intervention in the bazaar. The other project is the Church's Topoli Square revitalization. It is the only place that starts and concludes the tourist itinerary to the old bazaar and also to the castle. It has a panoramic view to the castle and also to the old city, and it's a gateway to the historic center. The square is dominated by car and used mainly as a parking space. So the proposals include a roundabout terminal to eliminate the cars from the historic area, so it is dedicated for the pedestrians. Also an underground parking with a capacity of 340 cars, which will avoid the parking problem in the area, and also a new concept to the existing wall to maximize the view of the city from the square. Next is the museum system of Gjirokastër. There are 4 projects. 2 of them are for buildings and 2 of them are itineraries that include interventions in a series of buildings and public spaces. First is the ethnographic museum. It is a reconstruction of the house of Enver Hoxha that was completely burned in 1912. So the construction is mixture of concrete, stone, and wooden elements. Many of the ceilings, floors, and windows of the buildings had considerable damages by the water leaking by the roof. The wooden elements were the ones that were most damaged. So the restoration interventions included the restoration of stone floors and also the wooden floors and ceilings to preserve as much possible of the original elements and replace only the most necessary and much damaged ones. Then the restoration of windows and doors and external frames and the roofs, of course, replacement of the beams and the waterproofing layer. We also made the reconceptualization of museology to define the spaces for temporary and permanent exhibition and defining themes for each room according to ethnological areas of Gjirokastër and to define the topics for traditions and rituals. The next one is the House Museum of Ismail Kadare, our writer. The museum is located in the house where he passed his childhood in Gjirokastër and is focused on presenting to the public the vision of the childhood of the writer, his birth house, the city of Gjirokastër, and a particular period during the Second World War, and in relation to his book, The Chronicle in Stone. The house was recently built, so this project was only for the reconceptualization of the museology. The basement was a shelter room during airstrikes, so we made the bombing simulation there. In the ground floor, we have a multifunctional room and the reception, and the other rooms have different themes according to Kadare's book. The next project is the Path of Edward Lear and the Travelers. Many important writers, poets, artists, and politicians have given us through their work a window to the history of the city of Gjirokastër. If we take all the travelers who wrote about the city, there will be a number of points and attractions to visit throughout this itinerary. These points are a mixture of places, buildings, views, elements, and cues from the past, which we attempt to connect today. Some of these travelers are Evliya Çelebi, Edward Lear, Henry Holland, Lord Byron, Justin Goddard, and many more. So there were identified 9 historical houses and 2 museums, 5 public spaces, 5 sokak alleys, restoration. So the restorative intervention and interpretation will include the restoration of the cobblestones of these paths, the design of public spaces and the resting areas, information panels, adding some visual elements, and use the different open spaces for activities. And the last one is the path of the Chronicle in Stone, which is the design concept of to be implemented along the Fool's Alley and seeks to integrate the many existing elements with the new ones. The concept design is inspired from the book of Ismail Kadare and the mystical name of the alley, the Fool's Alley, with the physical features composing it. Also, restorative interventions will include the restoration of cobblestones and putting informational panels and adding visual elements to this path. Thank you.
Thank you, Doris. And thank you everybody that is here and listening us. I'm Krista Cerizzi. I'm very glad to be here and to present part of the work that the Ministry of Culture is making regarding the revitalization of the sites which are affected by the earthquake. As you may have heard, and as the minister has mentioned before, Albania was hit by a deadly earthquake like 2 years ago, and this situation has affected the Albanian life in different aspects. So one of that was the cultural heritage. This earthquake had extensive impact upon archaeological sites and museums, cultural facilities, historic dwellings, as you can see in the photos that we are sharing with you. So in that situation, the Ministry of Culture have made very hard work, and through the reconstruction fund that was available by the Albanian government, and even donation available by the European Union or the USA Embassy Fund and Swedish Embassy Fund, we have managed to create the detailed design for the conservation and the revitalization of the sites which were affected by the earthquake. But not even that, we are developing the management plans and the business plans for this kind of sites. One of the most important program of this situation was Youth for Culture, and is still Youth for Culture. This program is a program financed by the European Union. It will last 45 months. We are working on it like 1 year, and we have a lot of work to do. This program is implemented by UNOPS, which is an international studio, and in close collaboration with the Ministry of Culture and in-home expertise and specialists. So the most important purpose that has this program is to conserve and revitalize all the sites that are affected by the earthquake. So we want to share with you some of the sites that are affected by the earthquake and which are part of this program. The first one is the Venetian Tower. The Venetian Tower itself is a very significant element for the city of Durrës, and it is part of a wide archaeological network in the historical center of Durrës. This monument, for many years, it was empty and without a purpose. Earthquake has damaged it in different ways and in superficial and structural issues. We have prepared a detailed design for the conservation and revitalization of this monument. The conservation works are focused in the structure assessment and even in the restoration of the refiniture inside. It was not damaged a lot. We are working on removing, for example, the cement layers from the bases in the pillars and the restoration of the wooden doors and windows, etc. But one issue that we wanted to present here is the revitalization of this site. This is the special of this program because we are working so much on the revitalization of the sites, not only in the conservation of those. So in the case of Venetian Tower, we want to create a hub for information and a focal point for all the visitors to see and to look the archaeological and the historical aspect of Duras. So we will do this through the digitalization and through the multimedia technologies in order to create an innovative and immersive experience for the visitors. These are some images that we want to share with you and to explain you what we want to do. For example, in the upper part of this monument, we want to create a public space in order that the visitor go there and see and enjoy the beauty of Duras. And in these images here, we want to explain that we have in plan to create a reference point because the Venetian Tower will be the starting point for the tour, the archaeological tour in all the city of Duras. And even we want to create this connection between the Venetian Tower and all the other part of the archaeological sites. Another very interesting site that we want to share with you today is the Castle of Restauro. The Castle of Restauro is unique fortress in the Western Balkan. It lays in a completely plain ground, and the earthquake has affected it in the structure and foundation of across all the sites. It has a very serious problem with the drainage system. It lays in what we call today irregular floodplain. We have prepared the preliminary design for the conservation and revitalization, and we are going with a detailed design. So the conservation works here are focused in and are concentrating the problems that are focused in the structure, damages of the towers and all the walls in the perimeter of the sites, and even to prepare and to have a very good proposal for the drainage system, a very good project. We are working on the revitalization work for this site. What we want to do for that is that we aim to create a monument flexible for different kind of events. For example, cinema, musical concert, festivals, exhibition, temporary exhibition, and in this monument, all these events are possible. We are looking forward to create even some visitor center that will be not only with basis facilities for the visitors, but even an art visitor center with augmented information, with black boxes and digitalization. Of course, that we are going to create the clear signage and manage access, safe access for the visitor in this site. This site is an ethnographic museum of Croatia, is one of the most important ethnographic in Albania. It hosts diverse and unique artifacts, ethnographic artifacts. It is an Ottoman traditional house in Croatia, near middle of Albania, and the earthquake has damaged, but not a serious condition, and it has some damaged structure and superficial issues. So we have managed and created the detailed design and for the conservation and revitalization of this site. So the conservation works are focused in the restoration of the roof and in the restoration of the walls and the painting walls, because inside this site we have some very interesting and unique paintings. And then we want to restore all the furniture inside this building, and then the restoration of the wooden doors and wooden windows, so on. Very important for us is the revitalization works. What we aim to do here is to improve and to find a different way to for the exhibition line through the technology and for the through the augmented information. As part of the revitalization process, the external spaces will be flexible spaces for workshop in order to expose the technique for the traditional crafts. And all the visitors will come there and will see how we are going and how we work in the traditional way. Of course, that we want to use digitalization in the exhibition line and exhibition of the artifacts that are inside of the museum. As I have mentioned before, very important and the core element for the Youth for Culture program is the development of the management and business plan. So we are working very hard on that with our in-house experts, and we are looking forward to work with external specialists and experts in this field because our sites needs very much a management plan for a development and sustainable development. Another very important project that is not part of EU for Culture but is financed by the European Union is Art Park. Art Park is a project that includes the landscape that you are seeing here and the part of the building in that space. That building now is Ministry of Culture, but used to be a center for production of the films, Albanian films. And what we aim to do with this project is to revitalize the landscape and the new cultural center, the part of this project. For example, the park revitalization aims to remove all the boundaries in order to give free access to the community to come there and to enjoy all the new events and facilities that will be and develop inside of this park. So we will have there greenhouse, art workshops, event spaces, exhibitions. All this will be dedicated to the local people there and to the community. Very important for us is to create a new center for the young artists. So this part of the building will be this new center with all the facilities like record studio, library, exhibitions, lab. All the new artists will come there and work, collaborate with each other and improve their art and their imagination. Yes, the Museum of Film is part of this project, and it will be done through the digitalization of the archive, Kino Studio, Retro Museum, which are all the old cars that we have used during the production of the Albanian film, and the restoration of these old cars and the costumes garderobe that we have yes, used in the Albanian retro film. So this is what we wanted to present you today. Thank you very much for being here. And if you have any question or if you need any information, don't hesitate. Thank you.
So thank you very much just for closing this first country presentation. Thank you very much for being with us. Of course, our delegates will be at the Albanian stand for every meeting or possible communication with all of you. For the people following at home and for you, follow us on our websites because you will get the opportunity to create cooperation with Albania. I think I can say this is a starting point, another starting point, but and so in the early future, we will start cooperating. Thank you very much again and see you to the next country presentation. Thank you.